What up? Just testing something out, trying to see. I want to put this presentation online, but I don't know if it's going to show my whole screen, so I'm just about to do a quick test and see what's going to happen. Then if it show my whole screen, I could come back and get my presentations online like I want them to be. But let me see. So will it show the whole screen? See, right now I'm wondering if it's showing the whole screen. If it is, then I'll be good. If it's not, I'm gonna have to bring my other monitor in here, which I could do. I don't know, I'm just being lazy. I probably should just do that. But it's the old homework, semen in the spine. See, I had cartoons all in my shit. Just because I was playing with it because the knowledge and the information was cool. I told him in metal nature the word for semen is mutut or metut. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but I'll be able to tell once I finish this test. But if you see the phallus right here, right now you see multiple phalli, but if you see the phallus right here, that's ideogram or a phonogram for met, the root word of metu. The root is not met. Now see, I don't want to even get into the teaching yet until I can see if screen is showing properly. So, and I can't really double check that by myself. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go double check this to see if it was working. Oh, I could probably just ask somebody, but I ain't on YouTube. Let me go get on YouTube. You know, I didn't even, you know, I was just trying to be under and get this presentation up here. I can't find no better way to get the presentation up here, but I could go to YouTube and maybe I'll be able to see if it was showing right or not, huh? Seeing this one, all right. So you might hear some feedback for a minute. Oh, I can't find it. Oh, let me see. Is it showing? Is it showing? I got two people watching and one disliking. Oh, come on, man. Cut it out. Think I care about that. I'm trying to see if the presentation ever shows full stream. Then I'll be able to get it on. Oh, it looked like it did. Let me see. Yeah, so I'm about to do my thing. All right, I guess I could just proceed and cut this part out the video. And when I edit it later. So let me see something. This ain't supposed to be no big, exciting powwow live stream. I'm using YouTube and Google Hangouts platform to get this presentation online. It's a presentation that needs to be online, even though I wish I wouldn't have put the cartoons in there now. But it was a misunderstanding where people so-called said it was all kind of, oh, I can use my phone to monitor YouTube. That's what I would do. It was a misunderstanding. Well, if I want to, oh, shit, let me slow my ass down. I mean, this won't be that entertaining until I get into the knowledge. I'm really trying to figure things out. It's got that figured out, but let me get on YouTube. And there was all kind of protests in Oakland today. I didn't know nothing about. I'm like, damn, ain't nobody told me about the protests. All right, let me find them. I heard there was 60,000 women downtown protesting. I could have taken my daughters and my wife. You know, let me see my videos. I'm sorry, I ain't even looking to see if nobody watching or not because I'm trying to get to my YouTube so I can put kind of shit work. So how you find a live stream if you just go to the YouTube? I'm looking at my page. Indications that I'm live, whatever. I don't want none right now, but I'm actually trying to find the stream. I mumble all night on YouTube. Oh well. I guess the experts know how to do it already. I should know how to do this already. It ain't showing up though. Then you be on the stream, you feel like you gotta talk all the time. If not, why you lying? All right, where is that? It should show me that. Whatever, I'm gonna take this video down and edit all that. Don't even trip. But if you're bored enough to watch, then watch. Shit. If you ain't, you know. Hold on. Oh, it's 4 people watching for real. What's up, family members? All right. Damn. I'm gonna do this for real. Hold on. Now, this presentation is called Semen in the Spine, and I named it Semen in the Spine because there was a lot of misunderstanding about a high science that we found revealed in ancient Kemet long before we could find it in the Bible and in modern medicine. We never found it in the Bible, but we do find traces of it in the Quran. But let me proceed. Right here, we was breaking down how in Medu Neter, the root word for semen is metu, or you see how we put just the consonants in parentheses because, like we know, there are no vowels. Explain to you the phrase that we're talking about for scholastic purposes if the vowels weren't inserted. So it's the term here is metu, and if you can see, if you don't know how to read the ancient Egyptian language, one quick thing to denote is the direction of or the objects. You see they're facing the same direction. That's the start. They're facing the start of the phrase here, the start of the word. So we see multiple phalli, 2 loaves of bread, and a chick. It always makes one term, but if you're looking and you're starting from the right, the first phallus is actually the root, which is metu, but the root is met, which is the first phallus you see above the loaf of bread, which looks like a half circle. So, and that represents a T. So we have the met and the T. So now I need to explain how met, we have met and a T, because this T under this, the T or what looks like a half circle under the phallus is actually of what we call a phonetic complement, meaning that it's to let us know that the T. So you could say MT is the final T. It's a complement to the final T in the word met. So then you got the chick, which represents the U sound, or a W or a U, the U sound, and then you see another T, which would make metu, and then you possibly see the reference at the bottom. But the root word, like I just broke down, that's right there. There's a reference for the root word. Met is the phallus. You know what I'm saying? We can see that semen and phallus were related linguistically by sound and by meaning. You see what I mean? Because phallus is met, but seed or semen was metu, or whatever, you know? And so right now we see the terms related linguistically, but you gotta follow this. Because there's a little bit of time for lessons in comedic wordplay. I want to do my Medu Neter up if I could read what that say at the bottom. Of course, it say, what it say starting from the right? I don't even want to try that. Let's say Medu Jeran Mer. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Magi. Oh, sure, I'm tripping. This is sorry. I'm the Magi. I'm tripping. But anyway, excuse me. In Medu Neter, the words met or metu also means poison. When we start talking about, and it's not really wordplay, but it's an understanding of the language that you would have to have culturally, and I mean, just for real, you have to understand the culture to know the intrinsics or the idioms of the language. Because right now we have the same exact glyphs, poison. Okay? And so now how is the reader to discern when it means poison and when it means seed? Okay? The root to met to poison is met, death. Now that's interesting because these two are also linked linguistically. You see, we got met for death, and we got met to being poison. And that's kind of interesting because now we see we have semen and phallus when the terms relate to life. These terms are met and met to. And we have poison and die related to death. Keep following me. Let's see if I can. There are many ways to say spine in Middle Nature. We see tesh, which is a vertebrate spine. We see some like yachts. We'll forget about the pronunciation. I'm just pronouncing them for scholastic purposes. And we see passage, but passage is the one we would have to take note of in this whole study. Passage, but I don't know if you guys can follow my cursor, but all of the words are starting. You read from right to left in the Middle Nature. So on the word passage, which is the back of spine, you would start with the square and then the cane and then what looks like a cobra, or a snake. Yeah, and so that would be passage, and then you see the three actual determinatives. But this isn't a lesson in Middle Nature. I want you to get some of this higher science. And I just plugged my book here and told them in my book, I argue behind a shadow of a doubt that there is one term concerning the lower back that European Egyptologists have misdefined. And now I get to go in a little bit deeper on this, because what I've come to my conclusion is that, you know how a lot of occult societies propose to have this knowledge of the ancient Egyptian language to where they could get so deep, and then they come up with their own translations, their own little cult. For instance, some European rites of masonry supposedly have gotten into very deviant practices because of stuff that they supposedly thought that they got out of Kemet. But right here in this presentation, I believe I've detailed at least one of their misunderstandings that I could point out right. And that's this one. And that's why I stopped the screen like this. And that's why 2 or 3 years ago at the Kemet on trial debate, I don't know why it took me 3 years to get this up here, but I paused on this word and asked my brother, could he read what this word was? Because all that mess they talking, this word was very elemental, and the term is aret, or I say aret, you know what I'm saying, again, but that's what the term is. Why is this term significant? Egyptologists claim that aret, or the art, means hindquarters, and this led them to mistranslate certain Kemetic texts. Now, it's very interesting when you're mistranslating something and putting the term anus there, for lack of better words. But we're going to go in on that. When they found mutu, semen, and aret, what they proposed to be anus in conjunction, what do you think happened? Now, what do you think, coming from France, you were Egyptologist, you know what I'm saying, in the 1800s, you know what I'm saying, you might have forecast some European culture onto old ancient African iconography, excuse my language, iconography, you know what I'm saying, you might have forecast that was not alive at the time of the text that you are trying to translate. When you see something like mutu, semen, in relations to aret, you know what I'm saying, you start thinking weird things. This mistranslation made it convenient for Egyptologists to superimpose their modern views on ancient literature, resulting in Europeans claiming that they have found claims of homosexuality in Kemet. Now I'm just dealing with this one claim right here. You see what I'm saying? They couldn't figure out how semen was related to the hindquarters. Let me see, let's go back. What it say? So first we need to learn a little bit about semen production. And this is just real. This is some knowledge. I'm gonna edit this up. 15 pyramid texts that show Egyptians thought that semen came from bone marrow. And that's very significant. Let's go over a few though. It is he who creates the seed in the bones and in the belly. Now, just for notation's purposes, this middle lecture is reading from left to right. But yeah, it says, it is he who creates the seed in the bone and in the belly. And this is proof that ancient Egyptians at one point believed that a seed was created in the bone. He who creates seed in the divine bones inside the egg. You know what I'm saying? That creates the seed in the bones. Y'all see all the sources? Just look them up. Which coagulates the semen in the bone, and it goes on and on and on. And Sir Sazaran has a lot of this work on this. A lot of this I got from him. But you might ask why Egyptologists thought that semen came from the bone. Now let's think about this. I say right here. Because it does. But see, I knew when I did that at the presentation, or at a while ago when I presented this, I knew it was like a play on words, and I knew I didn't want to lose nobody with the science I was about to get into. Because people are like, what you talking about? But this is when you begin to learn something. You know what I'm saying? Modern science has caught up with Kemetic science, and we now know that males have semen emission centers along the lower portion of the spine, and the aret are in the hindquarters. Now see, we're gonna start picking away at that mistranslation, because remember they put another word besides hindquarters there, and I in my book I detail how there's nothing limiting the semantic range of the term aret to strictly be that orifix. You know what I'm saying? So let's see. The spine is divided into 4 sections: the cervical, the thoracic, lumbar, and the sacral. You know what I'm saying? Well, I said that right? Whatever, y'all know how to say it. I will focus on is T10 to L2 to S4. Now see, this is what it's all about. It says here, reflex erections of your penis, which occur after direct stimulation of the penis, is under the control of your parasympathetic, here I go, I'm gonna edit that out. Parasympathetic nerves from the S2, S3, and S4 levels of your spinal cord. Let me read that again. Reflex. Dude, I be doing this sometimes when I read. My brain go fart. Reflex erections of your penis after direct stimulations of the penis is under the control of your parasympathetic nerves from the S2, S3 to S4 levels of your spinal cord. Now, it wasn't about my errors in reading. Is we have the coccyx, what's this? The coccyx bone or whatever, and I'm not trying to act like I'm super high scientist. I'm an independent researcher who brought you this information. You know what I'm saying? And so what we see is we have these emission centers along S3, S2, S3, S4, S5. And you can see this is that spinal cord dot hub where you can go corroborate this information. You know what I'm saying? Psychogenic erection involving conscious or mental levels of the brain, and it's under the control of your synthetic nerves from 10 to L2 levels of your spinal cord. Parasympathetic nerves from the S2 to S4 levels of your spinal cord also contribute. So what are they saying? What are they saying? They're not talking about production. We know what the testes do. We understand that. They taught us that in elementary biology. What they're saying is there are nerves along our spine that help us with emission and propulsion. And also, right here, erection. But if you want to go back, I didn't even deal with propulsion yet. I just was simply dealing with erection. You know what I'm saying? And so now we're talking about propulsion, or emissions, or ejaculation, and this is very key for one to know. This is science. This was something they messed up, and they thought they knew what they did, and then they went and took the information and messed it all up. But they say emissions involve the production and release of semen from your reproductive glands and the contraction of your reproduction ducts, which propel the sperm into the urethra. So we're talking about propulsion. And this is controlled by the sympathetic nerves from the T11 to L2 levels of your spinal cord. And so I was like, see, they knew this high science back in Kemet, and we found it in the metadata. As you can see, the Kemetic text or the Kemetic teachings that semen comes from the spinal cord is corroborated by modern medical science. Oh, let's see if we can get the video to play that wouldn't play.
So fertility in men after a spinal cord injury, there's a couple of things to consider. One is the ability to ejaculate, is semen quality and quantity. So considering the anatomy and physiology, the two centers that control ejaculation in the spinal cord injury are T11, some books will say T10 to L2. The other is S2 to S4. T11 to L2 controls semen emission, which is the release of the semen, and it comes up and sits by the bladder. S4 controls ejaculation proper, or the propulsion of the semen out. Unlike erection, where most men with spinal cord injury hormone of an erection, far fewer men after spinal cord injury ejaculate, quote unquote, normally or without help, because it takes both centers. You have to have the release of the semen and the propulsion of the semen out for it to go normally. So if you read the statistics, less than 10% of men with complete spinal cord injury, complete being no motor, no sensation below their level of injury, normally. Incomplete spinal cord injury is up as high as 70 to 80%.
Now see, that's a science that some people with back injuries probably don't know, because I mean, this could be good information for the community, but that was not my focus in the research. I want to show y'all what we was thinking way back in Kemet, and then I showed them the teaching in the Quran. And I don't read Arabic. Let's corroborate this. Let's go back. What did it say? The translation was, it emerges or appears from between the spine and the rib bones. Now, what that's basically saying is there was some thought, or I mean, they had some correlation between the spine, and they never say propulsion, but they say it emerges or it appears from. They didn't say it was created, because we know where it's created. They said it emerges, and you know what I'm saying? They was kind of onto it, but it gets better though. Because I mean, this is how you kill them with knowledge, because these bones are between the buttocks. for lack of a better words. I mean, I'm the one who had to beat them up with it. See, because they was thinking a whole bunch of perversions when they seen these terms like, quote, or I put it in quotes, between the buttocks in so-called text. But it had to do with something that it didn't have anything to do with. And I'm just got to keep beating that point into the ground as we show right here. This is the same coccyx bone with T2 to what? I can't even remember. I think it was T11 to L2 right here between the buttocks. And so if you, in a proper understanding of African culture, you would never make that mistake. But if you was coming thousands of years later under some European culture that was actually espousing this deviance, and then you might try to forecast that same deviance to make your studies and research easy. Oh, that's what it was. And the Hindu teaches this is called the Muladhara, I guess, or the root chakra. Now, see, people got a problem with me putting that on, but I taught them something because a lot of this Hindu stuff came from Kemet. It was preceded a tradition, not the same tradition, but a very similar tradition. And I'm not talking about no chakras in Kemet. I'm talking about the position on your body, which is around the peripherum or in the area. Like they say, the hindquarters. I told you about a coccyx bone. It is the same area chakra. And it's all going to come together. It's all going to come together. Where's the root chakra? Where's the first chakra? Okay, I'm not on those chakras. You think I do chakras? I'm explaining to you, to my people, what's going on, where they get this from, and how they got it. And I got the proof. You know what I'm saying? The energy that sits at the base of the spine is called Kundalini in Hindu tradition. In Hindu tradition. It's called Kundalini in Hindu tradition. In Hindu tradition, Kundalini is represented by what? Ah, no, don't tell them. Don't. For real? I ain't even trying to put the two on it. It's so obvious. Look. All right, look. See, you can't see it when I show you that already. Kundalini is the Hindu version of the Kemetic teachings of the Aret. But you can't see it really. Why? Because look. The determinative, if you look at the ancient Egyptian word on the screen, we're going to be reading from right to left, starting from top to bottom. So from right to left, from top to bottom, you see an arm, A. You see what represents an open mouth, that's an R. And then you see that same loaf of bread that represents the T on the Mektut word, now representing the T on the Aret word. Now, this big old symbol behind it, I don't know if y'all can see my cursor or not, but hope y'all following me. The big symbol behind the hindquarters of an animal, could be a lion and his tail, you see? And so this is how we know to determine that they're talking about hindquarters when they use this. But I mean, ancient Egyptians are also very clever because when you got one word and you're talking about something a little bit different, what you do is you change the determinative. And so we know this because the term Aret appears with another determinative. Now, what's that other determinative? Y'all see that? I don't even have to tell you, see that snake right there. And it's the same snake, the same cobra sitting at the base of the spine because the Aret indicates the hindquarters. I mean, if I was making this up, golly, I would be raw. And the first determinative quarters of a lion. The second determinative is a cobra standing at attention. A coiled cobra standing at attention, might I add. Now, when Aret determinative, it has been translated to mean divine serpent. Oh, am I making that up? I wish. I swear, I wish somebody could poke a hole in this. And if somebody was raw enough to poke a hole in this, then you on my level, then I got somebody to dialogue with, then we could be a peer in this, man. It's not no ego thing. You know what I'm saying? That's what the Amara Squad, specifically Magi Archers, when we doing the metal netter and the translations or whatever we bring it, what it is. And so, I kid you not, that it has another translation that when you find it with the Hanko, it would mean divine serpent. And I hope I put the source up there. The Kundalini, if not, you can find that source anywhere. Aret, just look up Aret. You know what I'm saying? But the Kundalini energy, that ain't Egyptian, that ain't Kemetic, but it came from a tradition from before. Or the Aret is at the base of the spine. I don't have to keep repeating that. But I had to that day. And to prove that the Aret, divine serpent, is related to the spine, we refer back to the pyramid text. See, this is what beat their helmet into the ground. That Unes corridor east, that's 318. Yeah, that killed them. Yeah, that killed them right there. And this is what I had myself on the back for this one. And I want my brothers to poke holes in it. I got some good brothers that sash need metal in the chair, and I'm gonna ask them to poke holes in my theory and run this through their translations, because honestly, a lot of this took me looking at this with my own eye and my own culture to see what you see. What I circled in red, you see the term Aret, but you see it with a reed leaf in front, which is Jart, but it's still the same exact word. And you see the cobra, the coiled cobra. If you can't see my, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but there's a cobra, coiled cobra at the bottom of this, and the source is up top. And why this text is so significant. So Sprunch 318, that means that's the same 318 I just showed y'all. And then I'm showing you it again inside of whose work is this? This is whose work this was. Seth? Is this Seth? Kurt Seth? This might be Kurt Seth's work. But I don't know. But anyway, there's the term, and if we go back, you can see it, and you can clearly see that it's the same thing. And so what we're trying to learn here is, come on, slides. Oh, that ain't even my translation. Let me see. Oh yeah, this is my translation. So anybody who do metal nature, everything's where I got it from is at the bottom. My transliteration is at the not necessarily my transliteration at the bottom. The transliteration at the bottom looks, that ain't how I transliterate. So that actually comes from Thesaurus Linguist Egypti, which is very good text corpus. But it's very interesting that it says, and this is my translation, I'll fight behind this all day. I did this, I didn't do this in one day. Unis, that is the bull snake who is led by means of the divine serpent. Now let's stop right there. Unis, that is the bull snake who is led by means of the divine serpent. Now I'm saying that like that, but it could be like Unis, because it ain't no explanations. Or it could be like Winnie or Unes. That's the bull snake who is led by means of the divine serpent. Why I'm saying that? It could be a question. Who is led by the means of the divine serpent? But these are the words that I got back out of it, and I put them up there for anybody learning the metal nature to go in. But this is what we need to understand. The word divine serpent right here, if you look at the transliteration, you'll see at the end of line 1, you're going to see Jart, J-A-R.T. That's that divine serpent. That is the Aret, that who is led by the Aret, changing 7 of his cervical vertebrae to 7 of his with commands. Now you think I made that up? Oh, I'm going to just keep going. Look, because I detailed it all. That's why I took a nap right there. Look. The spinal column consists of 33 vertebrae and a 7-12-5-5-4 combination. The 5 vertebrae and the sacrum and 4 in the vertebrae and the coccyx are fused. PT 318 leaves us with 2 numbers, 7 and 27. Because I was just showing y'all, look, the word for 7 cervical vertebrae was Sephet. Like I said, we talked about that earlier. Sephet. Within, you know, I'm just showing that just so y'all can see it. Sephet 7 and Nehibu, which is the nape of the neck. I hope I put them in the definition of the words from a dictionary. If not, I'll stop the presentation and open up a dictionary right now and prove that right now. And put that. Well, I dare somebody, you look it up, you ain't gonna see that I'm wrong. So let's go back and find these terms. SFX.T, which I said is Sephet, and Nehibu. The words for the 7 cervical vertebrae was Sephet, the 7. They really show it. I don't care. Sorry, you gotta excuse me. I started getting juiced. Because I said it says Unas, that is the bull snake who is led by means of the divine serpents. So we got to the chart at the end of line 1. It says changing 7 of the cervical vertebrae. Now after chart we see 7TF. But let's go back and look at the text. I'm going too deep on this. Here we go. Look, you can't see. You can't see my. If y'all can see my cursor, on the 3rd line down under what I saw. Look right behind Aret, right? You see Aret. Then you count. But some of my red line is taken over. But you'll see 7 with a TF. 7TF. Oh, I'm sorry. People don't know that's a 10. Oh man, I'm gonna lose y'all. Let me just stop trying to overprove it and just get on with the presentation. So it left us with 2 numbers, 7 and 27, and a word, Nehibu, which is the nape of the neck, and a serpent that started at the coccyx bone. And now, how am I going to propose that this serpent travels up the spine? A mistranslation in this text, pyramid text 318, 3 Pasegit. I'm gonna take you back. I got to. I don't give a damn. I got to. Sorry. Excuse me, man. I need to hold my passion down. Look. Hold on, screen. Come on. I got to take you back to the Unas to show you 3 Pasegit so you can visualize it. Or you can visualize it right here. Oh no, it's not gonna be as good. At the bottom of the screen, you guys, the only audible line, because the other line is cut off. W631, starting at 632. You see Neteru signs that were mistranslated by Egyptologists as Paseju, plural Paseju. They just didn't understand that this was written this way so that you can count each one and not say there were, how do they translate this as plural gods, multiple gods. They don't take the divine count into order. So we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 groups of 3. You see what I'm talking about? Right there. And then if I were to take y'all to the original, I'm sorry, I got to show y'all this because these is now that they're vertical on the 3rd column. If you can't see my cursor, you have to start from the right and look at the 3rd. You see them? Yeah, 3rd column right there. So those represent vertebrae in this text. And why? Because we read in the words that tell us they do. You know what I'm saying? All these terms. So what does this mean? It means it started at the coccyx, right? Now they're talking about these vertebrae, but wait. Sorry. Let's not look too hyphy. Because I wanted y'all to deal with the number. We had 26 remaining vertebrae, but we had 27 Enid. Now we had to, that's what I wanted to point out. I don't want nobody to be like, his math off by 1, because we had to address that in the presentation. If we consider the skull an extension of the spine, we can identify that 27 division of the spine that equals to 27 Enid from the pyramid text. Now, why would we have to consider the skull a division of the spine? In ancient Egyptian theory or thought, in this thought that I'm trying to bring forth, it is because of Aret. It's because of Wajet, or who they would call the Uraeus. You see, it only becomes the Uraeus or the Haritep, when it comes from the brow, from your brow. As a matter of fact, the Haritep is the snake on the brow. That is how you say it. All right. So when you see Tada Amen with Nekbet the vulture on the brow, and then you see Wajet on the brow, she is in the form of Wajet the goddess, but her in that position is called Haritep. Wajet in her protection, in her protection stands, or in her post, on her post. And so we would have to consider that quite possibly the skull was considered, because we can clearly see the concept of the divine serpent Aret that sits at the base of the spine. Also Aret, who travels the spine, emerged from the forehead of the Nisu as Aret or Wajet. This is where Hindu traditions get the concept of Kundalini, not the other way around. And so when cats be like, Kundalini ain't kill, I'm like, bruh, I'll sit you down. All that came from Kemet. They even call it the Naga. Come on, man. I don't even want to go there. So now we know the semantic range of the term. So now we know the semantic range of the term Aret is not limited to anus, and that the association between Mettut, semen, and Aret, the hindquarters, is high science concerning the lower spine's effect over semen emissions. No deviance. So we see this teaching in Kemet, in Hindu culture, and in the Quran. In Greek literature, the sacrum bone was called the hieron ostion, the holy bone. So how come everybody knew about this? We find it in many cultures. And find what we find in modern science today, this high science concerning the spine. So remember, the lower spine controls semen emission centers, our ability to procreate. It does not create. It don't produce the semen. It's emissions. Don't let nobody ever trip you up with that one. Understand the Kemetic wordplay is the key to extracting the true meaning out of Kemetic text. Thank you. I don't even know if nobody was watching, but I don't really, I mean, I hope somebody was, but it ain't all about that. Really, I want to get this this presentation up in cyberspace, so if anybody ever needs to refer to it or want to tear it apart or want to beat it up, they can do as they feel. I'm just chilling out the house on silly status, though. You see, late night. About 9 people. Oh, there I go. Hi, how are you? Greetings. But I'm out. Peace.